Welcome back to the Fan Speak Network. I'm your host, Megan Shoup. You can follow me on Twitter at Megs08DFS. And this is another sibling showdown, but a best ball edition. That's right. We did some best ball content, Steve and I, this summer. It was super fun. We loved putting out best ball content. And now we're putting out playoff best ball content, which we'll roll right into a lot more best ball content this year, because I'm, of course, joined by my sibling, my brother, Steve, and we both loved playing best ball this year. We both made it to the finals this year in best ball. So, Steve, how are you feeling coming off a full season of best ball and going into playoff best ball?
The season ended up being a little better than I thought. I got a little lucky in the early rounds of the playoffs because I just had so many teams with a lot of injuries that it was really tough going there at the end of the year. But, that's best ball, and that's what you got to do. You got to have exposures to multiple guys, and, seeing your key guys get injured, that's unfortunately, that's what it ends up being. But, I think you buried the lead a little bit. We both were in finals. I was in a Pomeranian. You were in the best ball mania too.
Well,
so
thank
a little
you.
Different.
Yeah, no, I made the BBM3 finals, and that was super exciting. Steve was helping me sweat out, the finals week. And boy, I came to visit my family over the holidays, and I was sweating out right around Christmas making the finals. And then we make the finals, and then I'm watching the games with my family for finals week, and that did not go well because unfortunately I had Justin Jefferson, who was a huge letdown. I had Washington receivers who were a huge letdown. But I started so well. That Thursday night game, I get 20-some points from Dalton Schultz at 3% ownership. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is, all I need is for the other guys to just do what they're supposed to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So no, Steve was helping me look at exposures, look at, which injury Lions were dead with injuries. And that's what so many Lions were in a bad spot with injuries. And yeah, the run out didn't go my way, but it was super fun. I'm fully addicted to best ball. You're fully addicted to best ball. We're going to be cranking out a ton of best ball content moving forward on Fanspeak Network, on fanspeak.com. And so we have to do a best ball playoff show because we are firing a lot of best ball playoff lineups and at different contests, which we're going to speak to in a minute. I just put out a playoff best ball article kind of highlighting not so much the different strategies, because there's a lot of good articles out there about that, and specifically on the Underdog Network. But kind of speaking to which teams I'm kind of having a high exposure to in my portfolio and that kind of stuff. But today we are going to talk about the different sites and kind of where you can find edges on each site, and hopefully have some time to run through a best ball playoff draft on the Drafters site, which is very unique, and we'll explain why when we get there. But before we get into that, please be sure to like this episode, subscribe to the Fanspeak Network. As I mentioned, we're going to put out a ton more best ball content through the off season, and then just keep rolling through tons of football content. We put out tons of NFL draft content. So yeah, please be sure to subscribe. And then again, check out that best ball article. So let's get into talking playoff best ball, Steve, first, and kind of the overarching. It's kind of a mix of game theory and sports betting in my mind. And you got to kind of make some bets when you're in each draft as to who you think is going to make the Super Bowl. So which teams are you finding yourself having a lot of exposure to on the AFC and the NFC?
So on the AFC, I think you have a situation where, with the exception of the Ravens and the Ravens and Dolphins, who are dealing with multiple injuries.
Yeah.
The other five teams all have the firepower to go far. Now, I don't think the Jaguars are going to go very far, but
they're still young.
They would not shock me. They have talent. But I really like the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs on the AFC side. I just think they're just so well built. They all have experience, playoff experience, and just, probably the three best quarterbacks in maybe the entire playoffs, but definitely in the AFC.
Okay. And on the NFC
side, 49ers are, we talk about every year. It doesn't seem that way when they lose their starting quarterback week 1 and then their backup quarterback, week 10 or whatever it was. But this team's healthy. Outside of that, which seems like a lot, but Brock Purdy has played pretty well. Everyone's back. Eli Mitchell's back. Debo's back. The
Yep.
offensive line is now healthy. Defense, I think they're missing one starting corner from the beginning of the year, but that I'm pretty sure that's it. Like, they are
Mm-hmm.
healthy,
Yep.
so it's tough to get away from them. Philly is definitely a good team, but I kind of lean the Cowboys. This is a team that, I know they look terrible last week against Washington, but this is a team. The last 3 years when Dak has played, no team has scored more points when their starting quarterback has played, and that includes when the Bengals with Burrow, Bills with Allen, et cetera, et cetera. Cowboys just outscore, and since week 7, since Dak came back, they've only this past week 18 was the only time they've had fewer than 24 points in a game, and they have, I believe, 4 games over 40 points. Nobody else can touch that in that kind of stretch of games. So I just think this is a team that, if it clicks right, they played the Eagles twice. One time Dak was out, one time Hurts was out. So we haven't seen them face each other, but if
Mm-hmm.
they get
That's
if
true.
they get the edge there, and they then may see the 49ers in championship game. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the 49ers defense is legit, but again, this Dallas offense has scored more points than anyone over the last 3 years when they had their starting quarterback.
Yeah, that is where we disagree. And, sibling showdown, that's the name. We're not always going to agree on everything. We're pretty in line on the AFC. I would also throw the Chargers hat in the mix in kind of best ball drafts. Not that I'm solely drafting them and making a stand. They're kind of like a secondary AFC team that I look to kind of stack up because you can get some of them later and some good value on it. And we'll get to in each draft like where like an Austin Eckler on drafters PPR going later. I mean, that's just great value. So I think we're very in line in the AFC. And the NFC, for me, yeah, I the last week was rough, for the Cowboys, obviously, against our Washington Commanders. But, I don't know. Like, I hear what you're saying on the points that they put up with Dak at quarterback. I do. I just feel like, the 49ers are much better coached. It feels like, overall there's more talent on full roster on the Eagles and 49ers. So my strong stance that I've made so far and is that I have the most exposure to the Eagles and 49ers. Like, to me, I see it being the Eagles and 49ers coming away on the NFC side. On the AFC side, I actually am drafting more Bengals, Bills, and a little Chargers just because I like that ability to get to wild card round. In the last, in the Super Bowl era, 50% of number one seeds make the Super Bowl. So 50-50 shot that one makes it. 25% has it been one seed versus one seed. We have not had that in 4 years. We did have it 4 years in a row, and it was like powerhouses of Peyton Manning on the Broncos or Tom Brady and the Patriots versus Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. And then I think then there was like the one Eagles team that went, so we had it 4 years in a row, about 4 years back. And then the last 4 years, we haven't had a one seed versus one seed. And 2 of those 4 years, like last year, it was not a one seed in the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of playing it more in my portfolio. Yes, I have exposure to the Eagles. Yes, I have exposure to the Chiefs, but I have kind of playing it where I have more exposure to the non one seed teams. And if it ends up being no one seed, neither one seed makes it, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of an edge there. Gary, not in line on the Cowboys thing, but I hear what you're saying. And I do have some Cowboys stacks, and you probably are going to talk me into a little bit more because I hear what you're saying, but it's just hard for me to see anything but the 49ers or Eagles. But that's me personally, just top down coaching, that kind of stuff, but that's okay. That's what makes this fun. We don't have to agree on everything. So anyways, let's go through really quick. There's 3 different main sites you're going to want to draft playoff best ball: DraftKings, Underdog, and Drafters. And we have a code for you on Underdog or Drafters. You go to use either site, Fanspeak, all caps, use code Fanspeak. You get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That means deposit $100, get a free $100. That means a free $100 of free shots at playoff best ball drafts. I think that sounds like a good deal. So Let's run through DraftKings first, though, because they do offer playoff best ball, but it is the Wild West. They have not changed their format at all on DraftKings. And so it is still what you did, I think, in the summer. It's 20 rounds and it's 8 active roster spots: quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, a flex. Of course, on DraftKings, full PPR. That's wild to me. I haven't done as much on DraftKings, but I am going to throw some in there. How are you handling that?
Yeah, so I think with DraftKings, there's a couple things. One, I think obviously um, it does allow you to be a little bit more aggressive getting the bye week teams because you have so many roster spots to fill out week one with, even if you're filling them out with, Ravens and Dolphins who, like I said, are both in bad spots, but that could just if that gets you enough. Now, it's still tournament format, so you need to.
I was gonna say thank you, because the last one we'll get to is not. It's cumulative. So that the DraftKings is tournament format. So like 6 of the 6 people, and one's gonna move on, one's gonna move on the next round, one's gonna stuff like that. So okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So there is still that consideration. So you need teams that actually score some points, but. Point being is you can fill out a roster and maybe get a couple pieces from those types of teams that you think are going to be easy outs. But, so then you can actually get aggressive with, say, a bye week team like Kansas City or Eagles and really build a stack there. But, yeah, it's going to be tough to field full rosters.
You need 8 players, because the goal is to have a full roster for Super Bowl. That means 8 ideally 8 people in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and good luck having that even in championship week. There's only going to be 4 teams there, and if even it's just really tough, and it means
late you're drafting some dusty players. You're drafting some second tight ends, that kind of stuff.
So, especially with a tight end spot needing to be filled, you're taking every number 2 running back. You're taking every. Not just third wide receivers, 4th and 5th wide receivers, just to have somebody and hope they get 2 catches. No,
that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out versus the other ones. And let's go to the other ones because those are obviously the ones that we are playing a lot of playoff best ball and have been firing a lot on, especially in the last week or two. And the next one is, of course, is Underdog Fantasy. That's the one that we both made the finals. I made the BBM 3. So very, very excited about that. They have a gauntlet tournament for $25. They have, now it's gotten filled. It's the gauntlet 2. They have had multiple mittens at a $5 price point. And then they have some high stakes. This is, again, this tournament format. So you're in around 6 people. One person moves on. Next round, one person moves on. And I think check the different tournaments. Different ones have different advance rates. Actually, I think the mitten advances 2 in the first couple rounds, but then has bigger, rounds. And then the gauntlet advances 1. So check whatever tournament you're in, check and see, because that is important. But it is tournament format. Underdog is half point PPR. Underdog is much less it's not much less time consuming because it's only 10 rounds. So you're only drafting 10 players total, 5 roster spots. That's what I like about this. You got one quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers / tight end, not a separate tight end position, and then a flex, which could obviously be running back, wide receiver, or tight end. So those are the key differences to Underdog. And I think that's the one that people, I think, are feeling, kind of have the most exposure to at this point. Again, if you're not on Underdog yet, please use code FANSPEAK for 100% deposit bonus and get some free. That would be 4 free gauntlets right there. Right now, the gauntlet that they have open now, 200,000 up top. These are heavy, very top heavy prize pools. So you want to shoot for the moon, and shooting for the moon in these tournament formats means you really do want to have yourself covered for the Super Bowl. So when I say it's kind of a mix of sports betting, you kind of want to make it like when a draft starts and you see your draft position, you kind of immediately have to turn a switch on and say, okay, I want to, if I got the first pick and I'm going to get Josh Allen, well, I'm stacking up the Bills, and Josh Allen might be my only quarterback. Right. And then you got to decide how the draft falls to you. Well, who am I pairing him? Who am I stacking the Bills with? It's going to be the Bills and, whatever, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Eagles, however you want to play it. And that's how you have to do it. And then you need to make sure at the end of it somehow, some way, you are filling out 5 roster spots in the Super Bowl with the Underdog, or you will not be live for those top prizes on Underdog. And that's something to really keep in mind. So that's the big difference I see on Underdog, is to weight that Super Bowl, very, very high to make sure you're covered, but you have to make sure you get out of the wild card round. So how do you handle Underdog?
Yeah, no, and that does devalue these bye week teams a little bit, because you're spending high draft equity. Both Mahomes and Hurts are going in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
Kelsey, AJ Brown are going in the second round. Devonta, McKinnon are like third or fourth round guys. So Miles Sanders isn't too far behind. So you are spending a lot of your draft equity. Yeah, you can try and fill in with some bigger names later, like a Mike Evans or people like that who might not advance past round one, but they also might not be advancing because their team's not putting up a lot of points. So it's like, yeah, you get Mark Andrews late, but what does that do for you if he is a 6-point game week one? You're not even advancing, and then you have this amazing stack that just can't go anywhere because you're out.
Right.
So that does devalue those teams a bit. But at the same time, if one of those teams do end up in the Super Bowl, like you said, you need the teams in the Super Bowl. So
right.
It's tough, and I think the the best approach is to, like you said, as soon as you get your pick, as soon as the draft starts rolling, you need to just adjust on the fly, and don't be afraid to take a guy around a round and a half ahead of what his
ADP,
ADP is, because you need that guy more than some good player from another team that you only might get one round of.
Right. No, you need to make sure you're ensuring those stacks while still making sure you have a strong wild card round roster, while making sure, you still have upside built in, the lineup and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's tough. And
just one more thing, like while you will eventually, to fill out your Super Bowl, you will need to take some like deep shot players, second running backs, third or fourth receivers, etc. Do remember, while that might work if you advance to the Super Bowl, that might not get you out of the second or third round if you're spending too much on those
too much
plays.
Yeah, it's finding that right balance. You have to find that right balance of still making sure you have enough upside plays to get you a Super Bowl, but then having those plays to cover you in the Super Bowl.
Because and one thing, like when the Super Bowl, and it depends again on what is the gauntlet, like 200 people, somewhere around that 190 or something like that.
Something, that make the finals. Yeah.
And just naturally, because teams will advance to the Super Bowl even if their players weren't on the winning team. If it's Bills Chiefs and the Bills advance, but Mahomes could have an amazing game. Mahomes, Juju could be just carrying teams into those finals. So those teams are going to, basically be out of it. So that is why, if you can guess right and get the full roster, getting 5 points from a Quez Watkins or somebody like that, or an Elijah Mitchell as a number 2 running back in Super Bowl can be enough, because that can really vault you on these teams who are taking zeros. But the Quez Watkins, Elijah Mitchells probably aren't going to do enough.
I'm going to get you there. Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. You have a good balance.
That's the balance, is they're probably not going to get you there, but you need them if you make it there. So, okay, that's Underdog. And again, use code Underdog for 100% deposit bonus if you are new to Underdog. Take advantage of that. Now let's talk about drafters. Yeah, did I say Underdog? Oh, I'm tired. I'm so sorry. Thank you. This is why it helps to have your brother on the show to catch your mistakes. Use code FANSPEAK on Underdog. 400% deposit bonus on Underdog. Get $300 to use on Underdog by using code FANSPEAK. Thank you. Now let's talk about Drafters Fantasy. And Drafters Fantasy is very different in that it is not a playoff advancement format. It is a cumulative scoring of the 4 weeks of wild card through the Super Bowl. So that's the biggest difference. Other than that, it's PPR like DraftKings, but without bonuses. It's, 12 rounds, and then 6 roster spots. So you've got quarterback, one running back, 2 wide receivers? quarterback, one running back, two wide receivers, one tight end. So it's a separate tight end position, and then the flex. So I think that values the quarterback and the tight end a lot more in that format. And then I think, as you pointed out when we talked about this earlier, prepping for the show, it kind of gives a little more weight to the bye week teams if you want to go, if you think, they're making a long run. Like if you only think the bye weeks or teams are playing a week or two, then no. But if you think Eagles and or Chiefs are playing 3 games, then yes, you can take the shots here because it's a cumulative format. And the points that, a Mahomes can get in 3 weeks, if he plays 3 weeks, again, you're making that stand if you draft him. Again, anything you do, and that's why it kind of reminds me of Showdown too, you're making stands. You're telling a story. Like if your story doesn't work, you're not winning anything anyways. So if you're telling that story that Mahomes is going to the Super Bowl, he's playing 3 weeks, you're also probably telling the story that Mahomes is outscoring some of the quarterbacks that play 4 weeks. So, I think there are some edges to be had there in just playing in that different type of format. But I know you feel that way. Would elaborate on that or anything else that you like about drafters?
Yeah. So since you don't have to worry about advancing through round 1, you can, and also there is 2 extra roster spots while you do have to start one more player, 2 extra roster spots. So yeah, you can build a Chief stack, an Eagle stack, and you might be pretty behind after round 1. But if that Eagle stack, Hurts and AJ Brown are just, smashing, divisional championship and Super Bowl, you have a shot to win it. Even if you're 50 points behind after after round 1. And not just that, but like you said, it's cumulative points. Like let's say it is Chiefs versus 49ers, and Brock Purdy is just doing solid work every day, and he averages 19 points or heck, even 20 points a game in all 4 weeks. So he's counting as somebody's quarterback for 80 points because they didn't draft a high second quarterback. Mahomes could get 80 in 2.5 weeks. In 3 games, he easily could have 3 30-point games, has 90. So he's outscoring Brock Purdy by 10 points. And then whoever you had week 1, a Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, whoever the case may be, that's just adding on top. So it's that type of thing that really values that. And same with tight end,
more of a premium.
Yeah, the fact that you need to have a tight end every week. I mean, a guy like Kelsey, even missing a week, again, he's going to outscore tight ends who play 4 weeks. Probably the only exception maybe being George Kittle, who could play 4 weeks. But those 3 weeks of Travis Kelce, you pick up a Cade Otton or Evan Ingram for week 1. I mean, you could just crush the any other tight end who could play 4 weeks. So there's just a big edge there. And George Kittle was like kind of the one exception, but it's that kind of thing that I think needs to be kept in mind. And also with the deeper roster, and this is also true of DraftKings, is an underdog, you do a 10-round draft and you might not have a Tom Brady drafted. You might not have Tyler Lockett drafted. Those guys are going to get drafted much more often on drafters and definitely on DraftKings. So if they put up a big number, you're missing out. And like I said, and this is where it's like making sure you have a full Super Bowl roster. At the end of the day, you have to weigh a Quez Watkins versus a Tyler Lockett. Yeah, Lockett might only give you 1 week. And there are some other similar type receivers to Lockett, like good starters or running back and receiver. And, Quez Watkins, he's probably not scoring for you until week 4 Super Bowl. He gets you 5-6 points. I mean, that maybe isn't helping you that much when you could have gotten a 30-point play week 1 from some team who's an early out.
Right. Well, I think you spoke to it perfectly that, you need to have to find that balance of, if you're drafting a Patrick Mahomes, you're still going to want to draft a Trevor Lawrence or a Tom Brady or something like that to get that. It's not like you totally just say, I'm going to get, of my 12 roster spots, I'm going to spend 8 of them on Eagles and Chiefs. Like we're not saying that. We're saying it gives you a little more leeway to stack one or both of them up if you want, but I wouldn't overstack it to the point where you're totally losing out on wild card value or value, high value, high upside plays. So it's, I think, just finding that right balance of, betting on who you think is going to make the Super Bowl, getting your stack. It gives you more leeway if you want to go with one or both of the bye week teams, but don't overstack it to the point where you're devoid of anything and setting yourself too far back wild card weekend, right?
Yeah, to an extent, but I just think there's a point is if you start with like a Hurts or a Mahomes, boy, I don't think Skylar Thompson's going to do much week one in the postseason, but if he gets 10 points, that could be enough. I mean, I would shoot higher than that, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying I think the ideal for drafters is to get your stacks early, the main core of your Super Bowl stack early, and then that way in like rounds 8, 9, 10, you're taking these guys like Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, these guys who are just not going, near early. And we all know that they have 20, 30 point upside, especially in a full PPR format.
I'm hitting join on the drafters lineup because sometimes it takes a while to get it going. Oh, this one, of course, I'm one of the last ones to fill, but sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to fill. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to get it going. Of course, this one jumps right into the draft. So we are going to do a drafters lineup now that we've talked about. Again, remember, use code FANSPEAK for 100% deposit bonus on drafters as well. If you're not on drafters, you can get a free $100, and they do have 20. That's 5 of the $20 tournaments. They also have pick'ems and those kind of things too. So, anyways, we're starting up a drafters, and we're going to run through it, talk through it. And let's see, Steve. I have the 5th of 6th pick. I want the first or second picks lately. All day I've been getting the 5th or 6th pick. So sorry, had to deal with that first. But with that said, what are you thinking for this draft?
Well, again, I do think a premium quarterback is a little bit more valuable here. So if McCaffrey, I think Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, those are the first round quarterbacks. If any of those guys are there, because
that's your guy.
McCaffrey is obviously a great pick, and Travis Kelce in this format I think is a great pick as well. So, but likely will one of those 4 quarterbacks. So if they're all 4 gone, then I would actually lean Kelce over McCaffrey in this format.
Really?
Yeah, he can get so far above where, like, you could take Austin Eckler a couple rounds later and he could score, he could match McCaffrey point for point the first couple, if they're advanced.
Depends how many weeks the Chargers. I mean, I think the Chargers are going to win this weekend. I think they could upset the Chiefs. So I think you could get 3 weeks. I mean, it's a risk. It's riskier.
Now, obviously, I wouldn't do a Kelce and Eckler type build because, they would likely meet in the second round of the playoffs. But Mahomes number 1. That's
wow. Good. Allen almost always has gone number 1. That's bold. Obviously, I can't say Flip and Fly thinks that the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. Because again, that's what you do. You say, I think these are the teams going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to bet on the Chiefs and somebody. Okay, so I'm up. Oh, wow. Someone took your advice, Steve. It went Mahomes, Allen, McCaffrey, Kelce. So I can get Hurts or Burrow. I'll let you make the choice.
Boy, I'm fine with either one. I'll say take Jalen Hurts. I think the upside's higher.
Okay. We got Hurts. We're coming back in 2. So are you obviously have to get a good quarterback later. What's that?
Get AJ Brown here.
Okay, Okay, so now we have some time to talk this through. So we've got an Eagle stack, but we now have no players yet. And again, a little looser on this format, but still kind of want to pick up some value there. I think we need to see where the draft falls to see who kind of we want on the AFC side to stack up with. Obviously a lot of the top guys from the Chiefs and Bills and Bengals have already been drafted in Burrow, Chase, Kelce, Mahomes, Allen, Diggs. Higgins just went. So, I think here we'd love to look for, as opposed to going too heavy at Devonta Smith, I'd rather grab somebody from the AFC. Your take?
Yeah. What
And
running
hey,
backs are
to your
there?
point on drafters, just to show people, Kelsey and Kittle gone
Yeah.
pick 4 and pick 10. So that just
What
shows the
running
value
backs?
of the tight
What
end.
running backs are available?
Sure. So,
Hmm.
I mean, we could do a more tertiary Chiefs stack if you want to get like McKinnon and like some of the, you know, later guys. We're up soon. So, coming back to us, Liam Samuel just went. So Devonta Smith, Juju, Gabe Davis. We're up. Jerick McKinnon, Sanders, Mixon. Thoughts?
Um, I, I'm fine with any running backs
I mean, we
or
could get Goddard now, but again, we were really.
um, don't take Goddard now. I take one of the running backs. Take one of the running backs.
Um,
Take
it,
McKinnon.
yeah, I'm thinking McKinnon. Okay, so I don't typically do this. I'll just speak out loud as I'm, or talk out loud, think out loud as we're drafting here. You know, in underdog, I would never stack up the Chiefs and the Bills
I
because
would take Goddard here if he comes back.
yeah, because you're just drawing too thin there. Okay, so they took Smith, so we'll grab Goddard. Okay, now we really got to focus on
Yeah.
non-bye week teams. In fact, we don't have to stack up the Chiefs
No.
if we don't want to. Like we could, you know, well, we didn't get Knox, but like we could get if we wanted to take a second tight end, we could get a Knox. We could get I doubt Gabe Davis is going to still be there. You know, the charges are a lot thinner, obviously, but you could get like a tertiary piece because I don't know that I want to load too much, you know, because again, on underdog, I'd never load, you know,
Yeah.
Eagles, Chiefs. I'm just thinking out loud just because I just think that's way too thin. You can get away with it more here, but oh God, stacking both up feels pretty scary because you're not going to get as much then if you want to fill out, you know, the 6 spots, you're not going to get as much for that wild card week. So, or you're really going to tail in those plays later. So, I mean, you know, I will say I'm going to mark we need to grab a decent quarterback for wild card week. So I'm just going to mark off some of the quarterbacks just to have in our queue to consider. I don't know what value you're seeing if Gabe Davis is still there. Did you want to look to him and maybe do like almost a secondary Bills stack? Because where's James Cook? Has he gone yet? He's already gone, hasn't he?
Yeah. We could take Singletary also.
What's that?
We could take Singletary.
Oh, okay. That's true.
We need a running back week 1. I'd prefer Gabe Davis, but
okay. Gabe Davis just went.
I'd take Singletary. I think that's a good pick.
You don't think we'd be better off getting like a Saquon Barkley just for a 1 week rental? I guess we could do that too if we wanted.
Yeah.
Let's get this. We can still do, even though it's going quick, it's going to come right back. I think we need to get some more pieces of, you know, non-bye week teams. I like Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin.
Tyler Boyd, I think is good, but I like Keenan Allen here.
Yeah, especially in PPR. Unless do you want to do Saquon Barkley and get a really strong running back?
Keenan Allen.
I think you could get more weeks out of him too in a cumulative format. So essentially we have just as our break here, we are, let's see, 6 rounds through, halfway through. We have 3 Eagles, 1 Chief, one Chief, 1 Bills, 1 Chargers. So I think we could get like maybe a later 4th piece way later if we wanted to from the Eagles, and then just try to get one other guy, you know, from one of these teams, and then try to continue to fill out the wild card kind of side, so to speak.
I think from the Eagles side, we can target like a Gainwell or Boston Scott very late, and that'll be the last.
Just going to put that in their queue. Yeah, queue. Okay.
We obviously need a quarterback and a tight end for the first week.
Okay, yeah. So we need
taking a quarterback here. I think Herbert would make sense with Keenan Allen.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so you want to go grab that now?
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
I think that makes a ton of sense with Allen. Okay, and then we need a tight end week 1. So, I mean, we could go all in on Chargers, maybe. Who knows? Maybe
Well,
they
I think that
sneak.
would make sense because if they upset the Chiefs, then we would have a Super Bowl. We have a Super Bowl potential with
Right,
full roster. You know.
right. I still think we may want to get another piece or two from the Chiefs or Bills. And
Oh, I don't mind
yeah,
doing that.
that doesn't
We can
preclude
wait on
us.
Everett. I mean, Everett's not coming anytime soon.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, his draft,
So
he's more
we
like
need to
next
figure out
round.
what we're doing here. We're on the clock here.
No, wait.
We're coming up on the clock.
We're coming on the clock. Yeah. Stressful sibling showdown here. Tyreek Hill's Mike Evans. We
I
already
like
we
Mike
didn't get.
Evans.
Okay, he's not. That's just a Q tag.
Yeah,
We don't still have. Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure
Mike
Barkley
Evans.
went. Okay, Mike Evans is your call.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just take a quick look now at a break. So for the bye week, or excuse me, for the wild card week, we have Justin Herbert. Let me actually look at it this way. We have Justin Herbert. Can you see this on the screen?
Yeah.
Devin Singletary, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and we need a tight end and a flex, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So need that tight end flex. We marked Everett. I mean, I don't think you're going to totally agree with me, but I like Tyreek Hill.
What I would say is I've done multiple drafts where I get Tyreek Hill in the very last round. I mean, people know Skylar Thompson's starting now.
Yeah.
Not draft.
Okay, I'm just putting him in the queue, but I mean,
I would wait. I would rather.
He just.
Okay. I mean,
he's
I'd
going different
like
formats. He's going different places. Yeah. He's in this for some reason. He's going a lot higher than you. He goes a lot later in Underdog because he's not advancing. But I think people know that if Dolphins even want to be competitive, he needs to put up a big score. So yeah, he went in round 8. So he's gone. Let's go ahead.
I like Christian Kirk. I like we could take safe guy like Thielen or Metcalf.
Is there any high upside running backs left? Let me just look.
I mean,
because they can fill in the flex.
Yeah, Fournette or ETN. Though. Oh,
Fournette just went.
Oh, Everett went. Damn.
Oh shit. Okay, let's look at tight end to see who we're left with. What about Evan Ingram?
I'm fine with Evan Ingram.
I think we're going to have to grab him soon. Mark Andrews is obviously falling with Lamar most likely being out. I mean, I think you're either way you're getting a 1 week rental after most of these guys, but that's fine because you have Goddard. So
do Evan Ingram.
Do you want me to grab him here?
Yeah,
it's not that, or his ADP is 58, so I'm going to grab him here. So that takes care of our tight end. We just need a flex for week 1 now. I mean, I honestly don't mind J.K. Dobbins. I think it's too early for Gainwell, probably. Going back there, we have how many picks left? 3 picks. So in those 3...
Look at receiver.
Yeah, let's look at receiver, MVS, Kirk. With getting Ingram, I don't really want to do Kirk. So you're looking at MVS.
I like Thielen, Metcalf, either one of those.
I think Metcalf has higher upside. So I'm just, again, some of these are just clearly 1 week rentals. We only have 2 picks left. I think we need to get a 4th piece at this point. Just explaining this to fill out a Super Bowl roster. If it was the, I mean, actually, even now with the Chargers, we didn't get Everett. So I think we need to get Gainwell to have that 4th piece of the Eagles.
Yeah,
and then we need to get somebody else a secondary player on any of those teams, whether it's like a Cole Beasley or anybody. Because now we've essentially.
I like Josh Palmer.
Yeah, especially if. Okay, so what's their ADPs? 60, 62. They're right. I mean, I don't think we're going to get both. So, do you have? Because then
we could always pivot to Boston Scott as another Eagle running back.
That's true.
Worried about 5 points. That part doesn't really matter. Palmer could actually. I would take Palmer instead because he could help us week 1.
Okay. Yeah, you never know. He could outscore one of the guys. He can outscore Metcalf. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if Mike Williams is out. Um, I mean, you don't think we should try to go with either like Bills or Chiefs as the secondary player? Because if we go
Um,
Palmer,
I would go Palmer.
okay, then you're basically saying a Chargers Super Bowl. You know that, right?
Yeah, but again,
But again,
it's
this
not.
could be one where you're missing just one piece, but your
Yeah,
cumulative score has gotten you there. Okay, so
exactly.
we may get Gainwell. So you want to just go Gainwell?
Just do it. Yeah.
Whew, that's stressful to do on air, but we did it. And this is what we got. We've got Jalen Hurt. We got the build is two quarterbacks, three running backs. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. Two quarterbacks, three running backs, five wide receivers, two tight ends. Of course, we are covering to make sure we are covered and getting some high upside plays and points bye week. So just to explain it this way, our bye week would look like Justin Herbert, most likely Devin Singletary, Devin Singletary, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, and Josh Palmer could all fill out two receivers and a flex, and then Evan Ingram as tight end. Then then obviously, hopefully, we've built in enough upside to the whole way through. And we've essentially built, and this wouldn't have been my first choice, but this will certainly be a low-owned choice. We do have some pieces of the Bills and Chiefs through McKinnon and Devin Singletary, if they make it all way with the four Eagles play. So we have four Eagles with Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Gainwell, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert. So you need six. So with the Chiefs, we would have two others. Excuse me. With the Chargers, we would have two others in Keenan Allen and Josh Palmer. Now, if it ends up being, the Chiefs or the Bills, we are covered there. We'll just be missing one position. So
and same if somehow it's the Jaguars and Evan Ingram.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, but yeah.
I'm just saying
No, you're absolutely right. My hair is all messed. It's stressful, but no, are you overall happy with that build?
Yeah, no, I think this is the way that you build, and it makes sense for drafters. Use that equity early. If you're taking a bye week team, we took Hurts, AJ Brown, Goddard all pretty early. We also grabbed McKinnon because I just think it was good value there.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Chargers and Chiefs will likely play in the second round. I mean, we're really counting on the Chargers to advance, but and then that means we're getting pieces advancing from that game into the championship game.
Right.
Who are highly utilized, and this is the thing, we get.
Yeah, boy, if we get 3 weeks of the Chargers, even if they don't make the Super Bowl, that's great.
Yeah, and we get guys like Mike Evans and DK Metcalf to carry us through that first round. I mean, we're going to need them. Like you said, we're going to need to use three of those between Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, and Josh Palmer in the first round because we only have one first round running back, one first round tight end. So our flex has to come from those four spots. But these are number one wide receivers, and which will likely be the number two receiver of the Chargers for week one, Josh Palmer. And if the Chargers win and Mike Williams ends up coming back, Palmer's still going to be on the field 70% of the time. Maybe he counts another week for us, but gives us a lot of outs, a lot of options. And like you said, we'll be very covered come Super Bowl time if the Eagles are there, and then any of these teams. If it's the Bengals in the Super Bowl versus the Eagles, we're not covered, but you can't cover everyone.
No, you can't cover. You have to make stands. We didn't, we only have the full coverage with the Chargers, but again, I think we've built in enough high upside equity that, I think this lineup still has legs, and that's the whole difference with drafters and how we showed it, kind of play out live and stressful. I have my hair like a mess, but anyways, any final thoughts before we get out of here, Steve?
No. And
we need to leave time. You and I both need to draft a bunch more because these drafts are filling up fast. So I'm going to get this show live so that people can see it. Again, I have a playoff best ball article, but any final thoughts for the people?
No, enjoy drafting playoff best ball. And like you said, we'll have plenty of best ball content for next season.
That's right. Remember the code fan speak on both Underdog and Drafters to get you a 100% deposit bonus. And good luck, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great wild card weekend, but good luck drafting these lineups and getting them in. And we will see you for a lot more best ball shows soon.